Imagine that there is a character who could rival Novelet. Imagine that there is a character who can do something similar or superior to Gammon without descendings, as we talked about in other videos. And this would make it able to enter already base above of top 3 of the best carries and teams of the game. Imagine that there was a carry of the first of the versions that along with the Archonte that will not come out in the 5 of course, but much later improve much more, already being one of the carries more. I'm talking about Mualani today. We're going to talk about another nerf who's hit him. And yes, it's shark climbing, that's your normal attack, and let's see if it's really broken. If it's totally out, then it wouldn't be worth it anymore, and let's talk. One thing and a personal contribution to what level of mount. It's because we're forgetting that Mualani is possibly one of the most important mounts in pay to win too. Of at least the 5, then we'll see the rest of the mounts of the 1, 2, and so on, so let's leave a good like. A good ulti of Bennett subscribe to you. Okay. Leave a good comment for the algorithm. Remember that for you it is free too. The channel and for the team helps a lot for the channel to have much more exposure. Repercussion is recommended. Appear there on YouTube's little tab and that everyone can see these contents. And now, yeah, let's go with Bye Bye Mualani. Let's start from the base that I've already played Mualani in the beta part from the base that already. I told you in Mualani's kit that it was going to be very broken, and basically the level of power I could have was almost close to Novelet, but really A, without being able to opacate it, B, without being able to opacate it, C, without being able to use the rooms. Mualani was going to overly depend on the vaporized ones. I was not going to overly depend on the vaporized, with which while Novelet can only get all, Mualani could never do that, but Mualani had the potential to get above Gammon, and if we remember that the editors will put a very funny graphic representation if Novelet is here at the top of Genshin and Gammon is here top 3, top 4 best teams of the game today. Mualani would be anywhere, half, and we would come back Mualani's goal, and we would come back with an incredible power creep. But not only that, but a Hydro Catalyst that scales with life, and many people would say, what? It's like they bring us now as another pyro carry of Spear. If it was with normal attacks like Arlecchino, it wouldn't really make much sense. Well, what happened in betas? I think you've seen some tweets of mine and other creators or Ranka videos saying, it's over. Well, basically Mythical of the Ranka, it's basically over. It's just that he's already had a really strong nerf on him about a week ago, where they reduced the scale of the shark's normals to almost 40% of the total damage that could come. To summarize for people who are not yet up to date, but calm is short Mualani because of the context that you have just you will have noticed that it vaporizes its normal attacks, and as I told you many times so that you understand what it does, Mualani is like Gammon, not with descendings but with normal attacks. Every normal attack, every 2 seconds in beta this. We've changed it now, and every normal attack every 2 seconds is vaporized. Why does it look like Gammon? Because their gameplay is basically whether the sub DPS leaves pyro applied, or a burn, that is to say the beta equipment that are interesting. A Mualani with a Dendro Xiangling, and then last you can put another Hydro for the Hydro consonants for Mualani, for example, or play Emily Xiangling or Emily Zoma to make burn, or Emily Zoma Kazuhara or Mualani with Lee. Make them burn and Mualani vaporize on the burn. You don't want pyro consonants because you don't want attack because Mualani. It goes with Hydro. Then gameplay summary is that every 2 seconds you're going to put a bite of the shark and then into the beta. There were very stable ways to Chero to get 700,000 by normal attack, that is to say much more than Gammon, as I say Gammanda. That blow with a difference of also 1.5 seconds per blow is in area. The blow of game in that of Mualani is also in area but smaller, and the difference is that because Gammon makes descending and Mualani, not that has happened with all this because that his ulti climbed very well and could make 1,000,000 years ago, 0 calmly, and his normals did 700,000 per normal each, 2 seconds, and this was said. And it was loaded by the first nerf he had a long time ago, as he said you saw him coming back to the subject, and returning was a fall of the brutal climb in its normals. But still you could 0 continue to reach Chero, and no. You take the ulti, and this was still a savage, obviously counting on NATLAN's new set and things that the first day I don't think we all have, but maybe after a month? Yes, with his weapon 5 stars Chero. As well, there has been another nerf, and the video here has changed many things and is interesting at the very least. And since there are many people who do not understand that it is a nerf really, that it is to go downscaled already, is the internet saying, oh, it no longer works. Meanie. But there are also people who say they're still broken and people saying, okay, it's not worth sneezing novelette. I think we understand that the Chinese don't want to take Novelette away after all. What happened with his load and with the multi and with the whole story with the bug and the mini funa and everything, but if they want to bring you a 5 star is quite strong, that surely then improves much more with the Archonte, because these numbers of which I'm talking and being so broken already at the base is unable to prove the Archon Pyro next to the character. Let's remember that Inagida came to improve the previous carries as Sinnoh, and as Tignari, and that Furina came to improve the 3 carries that Aichi. And from Mualani then, these ceilings where you have seen the nerfs Mualani to not be so broken, without counting what it brings you. In addition to the Archonte, i.e. this can still go as a mother. What has happened? What changes have there been in overseas? What has been the last nerf, that there has been another nerf, and hence the video. 3 rapids have again lowered shark climbing, yes friends. Now again you can reach about 300,000 in Chero with weapon in more or less normal conditions, i.e. it has gone from 700,000 to 350,000. 400,000 to 300,000 is every normal Chero with a 300,000 weapon of 5 stars. Is that logical? Yeah. And a lot of gammon. Let's remember that you've already put a little time into it to get to 0 and get there quietly. 500,000, but counting on C2 of Xianzhong's Furina C2, and Bennett's Sheik 6 with which Mualani now in beta can try under very specific conditions that will then be able to vary a lot in the real game you have uploaded this year. Watch out what I'm going to explain. They've reduced the cooldown of the shark bite and it's gone from 2 seconds to 1.6 seconds. And here I want to explain something very interesting, and it's that before, if you did a shark bite with a 0 every 2 seconds and you were 12 seconds in the field doing 6 bites of the shark. And there you can calculate very easy the blows and the damage and such. Now with 1.6 you can make the bites faster, and it's calculated so that you vaporize all normals according to what team you have. Sometimes there's one that doesn't vaporize, but well, this is already one thing that when the character comes out I'll explain it better, but whatever the case is, that if instead of 12 seconds we count 13 seconds, it'll give you time in 13 seconds, do 8 shark bites before you made 6 bites in 12 seconds, and now you make 8 bites that are 2 bites more in 13 seconds. It also has rotation of 15, and maybe you're just 10 seconds in the field, have less time for every bite of the shark. Is more damage? Of course, if they are rotations of less than 10 seconds is an additional bite with which the current nerf does not, has affected so much the total damage, the rotation, not only that, but that the last thing that has gone from reducing the cooldown has not. That's really a nerf even though it seems to have been a buff. Why? Because the time reduced relative to the extra bite compensates for the damage that has been lowered in the last nerf, something simple to understand. But it is that they have raised the scale of Tha. Holy that ulti that I have told you at the beginning that they have not touched at any time. And that it can make 1,000,000, because now scale. 80% to 110% more buffos he has. With the talents of Ascension, Mualani is a character who throws the ulti and his ulti and his ultin. It doesn't do anything other than a gigantic number of damage. Mualani is a character who maybe throws the ulti loose 1,000,000. And you lower the courtroom, then final verdict for now with Mualani, is it going to be broken or not? Because now we're going to explain the point of the beginning of the video. Mualani is going to be the best pay-to-win mount for open world for all the regions of Tevat. Why? Because I explained to you in another previous video that you will have seen already surely that the frames have their pluses and their minuses, or if you will not see it in another video that I will upload. I do not know if I have uploaded it before or after you watch this video, but the story is that basically free-to-play mounts can only be used inside NATLAN, but Mualani can be used in all nations throughout the open world and all sub-areas, as in Kanomila as the area of Arlecchino that I don't remember what it's called as Sima Aishi, apart from water and lava fluids and so on. Of all the game will be Mualani, but apart from this, It's just one more point. Is she going to be broken or not going to be broken? Well, I think it's still close or slightly below Gammon, but I think when the Mualani Archon comes out, if it goes on, as it is and not nerfier more, if you could enter the top 5 best teams in the game, such as Steaming Carry and Example. Practical of what it is right now would be a Gammon without making descents, making normal. But it's mechanics for you to understand. It's just like Gammon then, it's still strong, but they've leveled it because before I think if you could get to eat New Villette. Or stay far below it because it couldn't Sunny Rooms unlike New Villette depended on vaporizing, now it's going to follow. Very powerful. But now it makes more sense because if I already put 700,000 to 1 million with the ulti without being able to test in teams, when the Archonte came out, maybe it was going to be 700,000 times normal and 1.5 million times ulti in this. I wasn't going to make any sense, with which I think it's not a nerf. I think it was pretty necessary for this to be balanced. I don't think you're going to get into the top 10 best teams in the game. 100% sure it will enter the top 5. Let's see what else happens, but for now I would say that possibly it will be powerful, but especially in Genshin there's a very big taste factor. People do more than they like what is stronger even if they may. That it is strong help and above all the Archontes, but above all it will have the point in favor of that, at least on the 5 then. Point 1, point 2 will come out more mounts, and maybe because it's half obsolete, but at least in the 5 it's going to be the best mount. That's very clear, and it's an important point for at least during the month and a half of the 5 people to enjoy. Of that new form of exploration, so comfortable facilitator, so that literally before, with Scaramouche or with Yellen, you ran out of elementals and you had to walk normal like the Unclean Year is a game that has a lot of law to see with the game, and it's true that's not going to happen. That's like having a permanent Scaramouche, practically little more leave a. Good like a good ulti from Ben. Subscribe, you leave a good comment for algorithm. I hope you understand what happened to Assi. Mualani, you know that everything you do for free on the channel helps a lot to grow the algorithm to the exposure to which it